Great, thanks a lot, Jay. That's the first time I've ever been told we're too inexpensive. So we'll see what we can do about that, Jay. It's great to be here. I see some familiar faces and lots of folks that I've never met before. I'm not going to sit here and tell you about sort of feature and function of our phone systems. It's kind of boring. What I'm going to try to do for the next 10 minutes or so is try to explain how it potentially can change your business if you're not already with Fonality or a VoIP provider. And Jay started out with some great examples of that. But we are all about helping you sell more and service better. And I came to Fonality about 3 years ago and had worked for the last 30 years in the software industry at big companies, Microsoft, IBM, and several startups as well. And we'd have these enterprise customers, and it just didn't feel that good about how demanding they were. And when you actually tried to do something for them, there was very little, if any, appreciation. And in my short time at Fonality, it's just been fantastic getting to know sort of people in this room and your colleagues around the country, because when we respond and we whether deliver new services or new capabilities, there's just an incredible appreciation. Like, this makes a difference. And I'm just really pleased to be the CEO of a company where we touch small business owners like yourself, and you watch every penny that you spend. It's important to you. And you also care about the impact that systems and tools and vendors can have. Jay didn't mention this by name, but this is a new version of what we call HUD, or heads-up display. I'll just flash it up here, and I'll come back to it a little bit later, but this is our special sauce at Fonality. This is what we think we do better than anybody in the industry. And that's not a phone system, and we're damn proud of it. It is a way that your employees and you can be connected 7/24 if appropriate, 9 to 5 if more reasonable. But I'll come back to that in a few minutes. We actually have 1,400 all-state agencies as customers. And I did some digging and actually think I found the first customer at Allstate, and it goes back 9.5 years. And a lot of that business was referral. And as Cheryl was saying, she sends out this sort of thank you with a referral request, or at least informs her clients that they can make money by referring others. We offer $100 per user as a referral. So what does that mean? If it doesn't have to be another Allstate agency, you have a friend building next to you, and they have 10, 15 employees, all you have to do is send that name to Fonality, introduce us, and if they bought, it would be $1,500 for those 15 users. And we see over 37% of our business come in this way. It's spectacular, and also helps us across the company ensure that we're delighting our customers, because it's a great revenue source for us, but also we want to ensure that you continue to stay with us. And so it serves two purposes. Those 1,400 agencies have selected Fonality because the tools and the system can help improve agent productivity, can help on employee retention. How does a phone system support employee retention? Well, our phone system, if the agency owner wants to, it can extend the reach to allowing people to work at home, and there's absolutely zero difference in terms of the phone calls coming in, the phone calls going out, to the person on that other end of that phone knowing, where you are. You don't have to give out your cell phone, to your clients. Every call is tracked so that when you're measuring productivity of your salespeople, you know exactly sort of how many calls inbound and outbound they made, whether they're in the office, whether they're on their iPad, whether they're on their computer, whether they're using their cell phone. It's all linked together. And it just allows you to manage that sales productivity. We also drive, we think, sort of keeping customers and making it easier for a customer to reach you. Our phone system, we don't guarantee it, but one of our mantras is never let a call go into voicemail. You know, it's frustrating. If you call up and either you have to wait, that's not good, or it goes into voicemail. Your customer wants to talk to you, or your prospect wants to talk to you. And having a phone system that does that pretty well is important to retaining and winning those customers. And finally, you know, it's about working from anywhere. Unfortunately, you know, I want to participate more in this conference. I got a day job, and so I've been up in my sort of hotel room for a couple hours on and off today, and it's essentially no different than when I'm in the office in terms of scheduled calls and people who reach out to me. It's as if I was in my office. So there's goodness and badness in that because you almost can never get away from your day job. A few more details about the agent productivity, some things that we do. Visibility into your staff's performance. Mary made 18 outbound calls, 6 inbound calls, and she talked for an average of 17 minutes. Bob, on the other hand, had 2 calls, each one was 2 hours plus. Who's probably going to be selling more premiums that particular day? And you can also see that phone number he called was the same phone number twice, and it happened to be his fiance. So, you know, it does act like Big Brother for those people who have the appropriate permissions. I won't go through every one of these, but you know, before coming to Fonality, if you asked me, how do you transfer a call? I have no clue whatsoever. What buttons you press, and you know. Well, we have this software, and call comes in, you just drag that call to somebody. And so I actually, for the first time in my career, am able to transfer calls when I'm not the best person, which is more often than not, to sort of have the person who's calling me, you know, get the answers that they want and need. We recently introduced e-agent integration so that a call comes in and it can pop up on the screen the e-agent record about that customer or prospect. The same thing, you can be an e-agent, click, and the phone call is made. Small little productivity steps that in the course of a day, 20, 30 calls are made, you regain potentially, you know, a half an hour to an hour of more selling time. I hate to say it, but sometimes when we're away, sometimes the kids are playing. So it's 5:05 this afternoon. Sort of for those of you on the East Coast, how many of your employees will still be on the phones making calls? Well, Fonality lets, you know, I can boot up my PC or I can look on my cell phone and I can see every single sales rep in my company at 5:05 this afternoon who's actually at their computer working as well as who's talking. And I can go a step further. I could actually listen in on them. It's a little scary. And you have to have permission to do that so people can't listen to you, but you can listen to those employees, you know, as a coaching or training exercise. You also have the ability to forward calls. And when you forward the call, it doesn't give that phone number, your cell phone, to your, you know, the customer. You know, it still is the company number. Your main number comes into your extension, and you can set it up so that it finds you wherever you are at certain hours of the day. You want to say, hey, you know what? After 7 p.m., I don't want those calls forwarded to me. That's the way it works. How does it improve retention? You know, we think about lots of metrics and CRM tools. And until I came to Fonality, I never thought that you actually could measure a salesperson by, you know, sort of looking at the number of dials they make, the number, you know, how long are they talking, you know, how many Q calls they get, you know, and people, you know, actually there's a science to this. And as I've talked to some of you in the room and other sort of agents at Allstate, I'm amazed at how impactful this information can be. Also, do you know how many calls are abandoned because somebody's on hold? Or the ability to get information might change your staffing. Well, you think it's great, business is good, but you don't necessarily know if you had another head in the office, what would that mean? Well, one way to tell that is to look at, sort of abandoned calls. And we can give you reports on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. I talked a little bit about the e-agent integration. As e-agent becomes more and more prevalent in your businesses, this is key. Having this just be seamless and spectacular sort of for that synergy between the phone and the CRM system. You also can use your phone system actually to track leads. Right? How do you do that? What's that all about? We actually have agents who will run a campaign, whether it's an email campaign, whether it's web advertising. You can put specific phone numbers and track your ROI from that campaign by the phone system. It's pretty powerful. Everything I've described is available on the computer as well as the cell phone. So as Jay said before, he's addicted to his cell phone. You can have your entire office, all this visibility, all of these reports on your cell phone as if it was your computer. More than just talk. We've gone through most of these things, but one thing I'll talk about is coaching. You can listen to your calls of your agents, you can record them, but you also have the opportunity to whisper in an agent's ear. So you see somebody's been on the phone for an hour and 10 minutes. Now, you could jump in and say, I'm the agency owner, can I help you? I see you've been on for quite some time. Or you can also just whisper in the ear of your employee. I say, do you want me to jump in? So wonderful, capabilities there. We also have recently, we heard a lot of feedback from, our customer base. Please give us 24/7 support. Whether holidays, whether it's you work Saturdays, and we used to have a skeletal crew. We now have 7/24 support. For those of you in the room who were with us for some time, in the last 6 months, we've introduced quite a bit. A new version of HUD that's web-based, so you literally could go to any computer anywhere, hit this URL, and you have your entire phone system right there. You can send and receive calls from wherever you are. Don't have to have your PC. I talked about the HUD Mobile. A new feature of click to dial. You can go to any web page, not just eAgent, but any web page, and have a call placed when you see a phone number. Pretty powerful. Something we released last night is called the Report Scheduler, an update to that. And you can customize these reports and have them sent to your phone, your email, or a web page for you to look at your business at whatever frequency, how your agents are making calls and receiving calls. We heard a lot that the install process was rough. And so one of the things that I've done recently is revamp the team and look at, many of your agencies are quite similar. Why are we asking you all of these questions to set you up? And it takes a lot of time, and after doing 1,400 installs, we should know something about an Allstate agency, I'd hope. So we're introducing some templates so that day one you open it up, and here's the default single office, here's the default multi-office. And from there, we can modify things, but we don't have to set each one up. We add maybe 40, 50 agencies a month. It's crazy, sort of asking you these questions that we already know the answers to. And lastly, we've introduced some capabilities of video collaboration. You might be interested in having your customers, they don't have to pay for it, no license or anything, but they can easily sort of see you if you aren't in your pajamas working from home. And so it's a feature also along with screen sharing that has become quite popular. If you want to walk somebody through a policy and you can actually have it on the screen and control what they see. So you're showing them the benefits of it without them just reading through a document and going through wherever they want. I guess I'm a little long-winded here, so I'm about to get yanked. There's an example of the report scheduler. And lastly, Allstate is incredibly important to my business. We have 1,400 of you, about 6,000 agents, out of almost 300,000 users worldwide. So as you can see, it's a meaningful, my single largest customer. And so I want to listen to you, and I'll be here the rest of the afternoon and evening. Feedback is always appreciated. And if you haven't been able to come to the booth yet, seeing is believing. And so we'd love to give you a demo or schedule a demo when you get back to your home office. Thank you very much.
Thanks, David.